The screech of tires ripped through the humid Midwest night like a gunshot, and before Sean could even drop his cigarette, the Harley roared past, its rider spitting a glob of chew that splattered against his windshield. "Faggot lover!" The voice bellowed from the shadows, laced with that gravelly venom that stuck in your gut like bad moonshine. In the rearview, Sean's hands trembled on the wheel, not from fear, but from the rage boiling up, the kind that whispered he'd been here before, loving men who hid their fists behind smiles. Sean slammed on the brakes at the edge of Willow Creek's only stoplight, the engine ticking like a bomb in the sticky August air. He was 28, built lean from years of hauling hay bales for his uncle's farm before ditching it for the ink-stained grind of the local Gazette. Tonight, though, he wasn't chasing deadlines, he was chasing ghosts. The call had come at midnight last week, crackling static from a landline that hadn't rung in his cramped apartment since Mom died. "Sean? It's Joe. Grandpa Joe. Don't hang up, boy. They're comin' for me again." The old man's voice had cracked like dry leather, and Sean, half drunk on cheap bourbon, had felt the hook sink deep. Family he barely knew, a vet from Nam no one talked about, begging for a stranger's mercy. By dawn, Sean was parked outside the sagging ranch house on Elm Street, the one with the faded American flag whipping in the wind like a surrender. Grandpa Joe, 92, wiry as barbed wire, with eyes like chipped flint, sat on the porch swing, shotgun across his lap, not loaded but gleaming with the promise of ghosts from Kisan. "You came?" Joe rasped. "No hello?" Just that stare that peeled back layers Sean didn't know he had. The air smelled of diesel and regret, and as Sean stepped out, gravel crunching under his boots, he caught the distant rumble of engines. Those damn riders, the iron wolves, rolling through town like they owned the asphalt. They'd been harassing Joe for months, egging the windows, spray-painting slurs on the mailbox, calling him queer bait, loud enough for the neighbors to pretend not to hear. In Willow Creek, Illinois, cornfields stretching to infinity, where Reagan posters still yellowed in basements, old men like Joe were relics, tolerated until they weren't. Sean slumped beside him, the swing creaking under their weight. "Why me, Joe? Aunt Rita's got a whole brood in Chicago. Hell, Dad's buried 2 states over. Shouldn't they?" But Joe cut him off with a wheeze, pulling a crumpled photo from his pocket. 2 young soldiers, arms slung around each other in fatigues, grinning under a Pacific sun. One was Joe, clean-shaven and cocky. The other, Tommy, with a smile that lit up the grainy black and white like fireworks. "Your grandma was the cover story," Joe muttered, voice dropping to a conspirator's hush. "But Tommy? He was the truth. Died on Iwo Jima. And these wolves, they sense it, Sean. Like dogs smell blood." Sean's throat tightened. He knew that smell, the metallic tang of secrets buried under family values sermons. At 16, he'd come out to his dad over Thanksgiving turkey, got a backhand and a bus ticket to nowhere. Now, staring at Joe's photo, he saw his own reflection. A man loving in the shadows, waiting for the world to kick the door down. The riders hit that afternoon, engines thundering like Judgment Day as they circled the house. Sean watched from the kitchen window, heart pounding, as 5 leather-clad figures dismounted, beards braided with chains, tattoos snaking up necks like accusations. Their leader, a bull of a man named Razor with a scar splitting his lip, kicked over Joe's bird feeder, scattering seeds like shrapnel. "Hey, Pops, got any more fairy tales for the paperboy?" Razor bellowed, his crew howling. Joe gripped the shotgun tighter, but Sean was out the door before he could stop him. Fists balled, voice steady despite the adrenaline spike. "Back off, assholes. This is private property." Razor turned slow, eyes narrowing on Sean's slim frame, the rainbow pin glinting on his flannel collar. "Oh, looky here, the vet's got himself a boyfriend. How sweet. You ride the rainbow, pretty boy?" Laughter erupted, crude and cutting. But Sean held ground, phone already recording in his pocket. He'd learned the hard way. Words were weapons, but evidence was armor. Touch him and it's assault. Gazette runs it front page. Razor stepped closer, breath reeking of Jack and malice, but something flickered in his eyes. Hesitation? No, calculation. Your kind always pokes the bear, don't ya? One day we'll bite. They revved off in a cloud of dust, but the echo lingered, burrowing into Sean's chest like shrapnel. Back inside, Joe poured them whiskey from a flask etched with Tommy's initials. Brave kid. Stupid, but brave. Sean clinked glasses, the burn chasing away the chill. Family, right? What else we got? That night, alone in his apartment above the diner. Walls thin enough to hear the fry cook's divorce rants. Sean scrolled through Grindr, thumb hovering over profiles that promised escape but delivered echoes. Then, a knock. Not the usual drunk neighbor, but firm, insistent. He cracked the door to find Alex standing there, all 6'2" of him, broad shoulders filling the frame like a promise. Alex Harlan, 29, with sun-bleached hair and forearms corded from wrenching on bikes at the shop downtown. They'd met 6 months back at the county fair. Sean nursing a lemonade, Alex tossing rings for stuffed wolves. One stolen kiss behind the Ferris wheel, and it snowballed. Late-night drives on back roads, hands tangled in the dark cab of Alex's pickup, whispers of "I got you" against sweat-damp skin. "You okay?" Alex murmured, stepping in without asking, his calloused hand cupping Sean's jaw. Sean melted into it, the day's fury dissolving in that touch, the one that felt like home, or what he'd imagined home could be. Riders came for Joe again. I stood up to them. Alex's face darkened, a shadow crossing those green eyes. Joe? The old-timer? Sean, that's Wolves territory. Razor's my acquaintance from the garage. They're just blowing steam. Vets get rowdy sometimes. Sean pulled back, searching his face. Blowing steam? They called him a fag. Alex called me one. Alex sighed, raking a hand through his hair, the gesture so familiar it hurt. It's small-town shit. Doesn't mean anything. Come here. He drew Sean close, lips brushing his temple, and for a moment, the world narrowed to heartbeat and heat. They tumbled onto the bed, clothes shedding like old skin. Alex's body a map of scars and strength that Sean traced with reverent fingers. In the afterglow, tangled in sheets smelling of motor oil and musk, Alex murmured, "I love you, you know that? Crazy stubborn ass." Sean believed him because what else was there? In Willow Creek, love was the only rebellion worth the bruises. Days blurred into a rhythm. Mornings at the Gazette, pounding out obits and crop reports. Afternoons with Joe, coaxing stories from the old man like pulling teeth. Joe talked in fragments, foxholes and fire, the ache of letters never sent, Tommy's laugh echoing over waves. Sean typed it all, not for the paper yet, but for the man who'd called him boy like it meant grandson, lover, lifeline. Evenings were Alex's. Stolen hours in dive bars or the quarry's edge, where they'd park and pretend the world ended at the tailgate. But cracks spiderwebbed in. Alex dodged questions about the Wolves, his shifts stretching late with overtime that smelled like leather and lies. "It's nothing," he'd say, deflecting with a grin that didn't reach his eyes. Sean pushed it down, buried it under kisses, because losing Alex would unravel him like a cheap sweater. Then the betrayal hit like a sucker punch. It was a Tuesday, rain lashing the windows as Sean filed a fluff piece on the Harvest Festival. His phone buzzed, not Alex's ringtone, but Joe's landline. "Sean? They're here. Goddamn wolves. Broke the gate. Razor's got a knife. Says I'll pay for spreading lies." The line crackled with scuffles, Joe's breath ragged, a grunt of pain that twisted Sean's gut. "Joe, I'm coming, hold on." But the call cut, plunging Sean into ice water panic. He grabbed keys, tires spinning gravel as he floored it to Elm Street, heart hammering a war drum. The scene was apocalypse in miniature. Bikes encircling the porch like wolves at a kill. Joe slumped against the railing, blood trickling from a split lip. Razor loomed over him, blade glinting, crew jeering. And there, in the thick of it, was Alex, holding Joe's arms back, face a mask of grim necessity. "Tell him to shut his mouth about the war stories, Pops. Ain't nobody wants your fairy tale bullshit." Joe's eyes met Sean's across the yard, not pleading, but proud, fierce as the photo in his pocket. "Tommy loved the stars," Joe gasped, defiant. "Said they'd watch over us. Even you, Razor. Even your sorry hides." Sean froze, the world tilting. Alex's gaze snapped to him, horror dawning too late. "Sean, wait. It's not." But the words choked, and Sean was moving, phone out, live streaming to the Gazette socials because fuck evidence. This was raw, real, the kind of truth that bled. "Get off him!" he roared, shoving through the circle, fists flying wild. A boot caught his ribs, crack of pain, but he swung back, clipping a jaw, tasting copper. Chaos erupted. Shouts, shoves, the whine of sirens in the distance as a neighbor finally dialed 911. Razor laughed, low and ugly, as cops swarmed, cuffing wolves left and right. You'll regret this, Rainbow Boy. Town like this eats its own. But it was Alex's silence that gutted Sean deepest. Standing there, wrists zip-tied, eyes pleading like a kicked dog. In the squad car, Joe beside him, Sean finally exhaled. The old man's hand, gnarled steady on his knee. You fought good, son. Like Tommy would've. Sean nodded, tears hot, because in that moment, betrayal tasted like freedom's bitter edge. The cruiser bumped over potholes, red and blues painting the cornstalks in frantic streaks. As Sean sat rigid, Joe's labored breaths the only sound between them. Why'd he do it? Sean whispered finally, voice cracking like the dashboard radio static. Joe chuckled, a wet rasp that turned into a cough. Fear, boy. Same reason I hid Tommy for 70 years. Alex, he's one of them inside, but the wolves own the outside. Men like us, we learn to compartmentalize. Sean stared out at the blurring fields, memories flashing. Alex's laugh echoing in the quarry, his fingers tracing Sean's tattoos. A small equality fist inked on his hip. I thought he saw me. All of me. Joe's grip tightened. He did. That's why it hurts like hellfire. At the ER in Peoria, 40 miles of tense silence. Docs stitched Joe's lip and wrapped Sean's ribs, muttering about bar fights while nurses shot sympathetic glances. Sean paced the linoleum, phone exploding with notifications. The live stream viral, Gazette comments flooding with justice for Joe. By midnight, CNN had picked it up, World War II vet assaulted in Heartland hate crime, and Sean's inbox brimmed with interview requests. But he ignored them, slipping into Joe's room where the old man dozed under fluorescent hum, for dripping like tears. Alex texted at 2 a.m. Bail hearing tomorrow. Please, Sean. Let me explain. Delete. Another. I didn't want to. Razor made me. For us. Block. Dawn broke gray and unforgiving. Sean behind the wheel of his beat-up Civic, Joe shotgun. Heading back to Willow Creek with a script for painkillers and a story neither wanted to tell. Drop me at the house, Joe said. You've done enough. Sean shook his head. Not leaving you alone. Not now. The old man studied him, flint eyes softening. Stubborn as your dad. He was, before the accident. Loved hard, hated louder. Came out to me once, drunk on leave. I told him to bury it. Saved his life, maybe. Ruined it too. Sean pulled over at a diner off I-74. Neon sign flickering, eat. Like a dare. Over eggs and hash that tasted like cardboard. Joe unfolded more. The phone call that started it all. Not just to Sean, but a recording he'd made weeks back. Spilling to a crisis line about the bullying, Tommy's ghost, the loneliness gnawing like wet rot. Thought it'd end up in some file, Joe admitted, forking at his plate. Didn't know it'd go public when you streamed. Sean paused, coffee mug halfway to lips. Public? Joe, that call, it's the hook. The shocking part everyone's buzzing about. Joe's laugh was genuine this time. Hell boy, I confessed everything. Tommy wasn't just a buddy. We shared a foxhole and a bedroll. Purple heart for bravery. Pink triangle in my heart. Told that operator. If I die tonight, let him know an old queer vet went out swinging. The words landed like grenades. Shrapnel of revelation embedding deep. Sean saw it then. The parallel lives, the hidden loves. The American dream twisted into a noose for men who dared to want each other. Back home, the porch swarmed with reporters. Flashbulbs popping like gunfire. Sean shielded Joe, barking at them to back off. But inside, doubt festered. Was this heroism or just another layer of his own mask? That evening, as Joe napped, Sean wandered to the garage. Tools scattered like accusations. Alex's truck was gone. Impounded probably. But the scent of him lingered, oil and aftershave, a ghost Sean couldn't exorcise. He didn't see the ambush coming. Footsteps crunched behind the house, and before Sean could turn, a shadow slammed him against the wall. Razor out on bond, fury etched in every line. You ruined everything, you little shit. Wolves are done in this town, cause of your sob story. Fists flew, Sean's ribs screaming, but he fought dirty. Knee to groin, elbow to throat. Years of farm boy scraps paying off. They grappled in the dirt, Razor's knife skittering across concrete, until Sean's screams drew Joe, shotgun booming a warning shot into the sky. Sirens wailed again. Razor dragged away cursing, and Sean slumped, bloodied but unbroken, Joe's arm around him like an anchor. In the aftermath, Willow Creek shifted. Petitions circulated. The mayor, sweaty and spineless, vowed zero tolerance. The Gazette ran Sean's piece. Veteran's voice. A call from the shadows. Weaving Joe's recorded confession with the assault footage, raw quotes hitting like gut punches. "I ain't ashamed," Joe told Sean off record, polishing his Purple Heart. "Tommy taught me that. Love's the only war worth dying for." Sean nodded, but inside, the betrayal festered. Alex's court date loomed, and despite the block, dreams haunted him. Green eyes pleading, body warm and familiar. The night before the hearing, Alex showed up at the apartment, rain-soaked and desperate, knocking like a man at confession. Sean opened the door, steeling himself, but one look. The bruise blooming on Alex's jaw from jailhouse justice, and the dam cracked. "Why?" Sean demanded, voice a whip. Alex stepped in, dripping on the rug, words tumbling. "Razor's got dirt on me. Knew about us from the start. Said he'd out me to the crew, get me jumped. I thought, if I played along, kept you safe." Lies layered on half-truths, but the core rang. Fear, that old American specter, twisting love into chains. They argued in whispers, accusations flying like sparks, until Alex grabbed him, kiss desperate and devouring, tasting of salt and sorry. Sean pushed away, chest heaving. "You held him down, Alex, while they cut him." Alex's face crumpled. "I know. God, I know. I'm done with them. Quit the shop today." But trust was a shattered mirror, reflections jagged. Sean let him stay the night. Not for forgiveness, but for the ache of what might have been. In the dark, bodies entwining one last time. It was catharsis, not closure. Thrusts born of grief. Moans muffled in pillows, release a hollow echo. Dawn brought eviction. Alex gone, leaving a note. "Fight for Joe. Fight for you. I'm sorry I couldn't fight for us." The courtroom in county seats was a relic. Peeling paint, fans whirring lazy circles. The judge a grizzled vet himself with a mustache like a broom bristle. Sean sat front row with Joe, the old man's hand steady on his, as the wolves filed in. Razor sullen, crew subdued, Alex last, avoiding eyes. The prosecutor played the call, Joe's voice filling the room, crackling with age and audacity. "This is Joseph Harlan, World War II, Purple Heart. Been taking beatings from your boys for months 'cause they think I'm queer. Well, I am. Loved a man in the war, lost him to the Japs, buried him in my soul. If you're listening, tell the world old soldiers don't fade. We burn." Gasps rippled. The judge banged gavel, but silence fell thick, every face. From bailiff to biker, speechless, the weight of untold histories crashing down. Razor's crew shifted uneasy, one muttering bullshit. But Alex? He met Sean's gaze then, tears streaking, and mouthed "I'm out." Verdicts came swift. Assault charges stuck. Wolves disbanded by court order. Community service for the lot. Outside, reporters mobbed. But Sean pulled Joe away, the two of them walking slow into autumn sun, leaves crunching like applause. Weeks folded into a fragile peace. Willow Creek exhaling after the storm. The Gazette's circulation spiked. Sean's byline a beacon for tips on everything from crop fraud to closeted councilmen. Joe became a quiet celebrity. Interview circuits skipping the town, but letters piled up. From vets uncloseting decades-old loves, kids thanking the brave old guy who made coming out feel less like suicide. Sean read them aloud on the porch, Joe's rocking chair creaking approval. Flask passed between like a sacrament. "You're healing the world, boy," Joe said one crisp October eve, stars pricking the sky like Tommy's promises. Sean snorted, nursing a beer. "Nah, just chasing clicks. Pays the rent." But the rent was metaphor, and they both knew it. Sean's ribs mended crooked, a permanent twinge reminding him of Razor's boot. But the deeper scar was Alex-shaped. An absence that echoed in empty truck beds and unanswered grinder pings. He'd see glimpses. Alex at the parts store, avoiding aisles. A shadow on Main Street, turning quick. No contact, per the restraining order, but eyes met across distances, loaded with what-ifs. Sean threw himself into work, interviewing Joe for a feature, Shadows of Valor, a deep dive on queer vets, Tommy's letters digitized for posterity. It was cathartic, unearthing bones, but nights brought dreams. Alex's hands, gentle now, untainted by betrayal, waking Sean's sweat slick and hollow. Thanksgiving loomed, the holiday that had exiled him years back, and Aunt Rita descended from Chicago with her brood. 3 towhead kids and a husband who grilled Sean on the fag-bashing story over turkey, oblivious to the irony. Joe presided at the head, carving knife steady, toasting to the men we loved and the ones we lost. Rita teared up, hugging Sean fierce. Dad never said, but we knew. Mom did too. Forgave him everything. Later, washing dishes, she slipped him an envelope, Tommy's dog tags, engraved TH plus JM forever. He kept them hidden. For you now. Sean clutched them, metal cool against palm, a talisman against the loneliness creeping back. The high tide of hope crashed that December, snow blanketing fields in merciful white. Sean was at the quarry, skipping stones on frozen water, ritual for clarity when engines rumbled. Not wolves' thunder, but solitary. Alex on a borrowed Kawasaki, no leather vest, just jeans and a parka, face gaunt under the beanie. He killed the motor, boots crunching ice as he approached slow, hands visible, empty. Can we talk? Voice rough like he'd smoked a pack praying for courage. Sean tensed, fists in pockets, but nodded, curiosity a sharper blade than anger. They walked the rim, breath fogging, words halting. Alex spilled. Post-court, Razor exiled to Rockford, crew scattered like roaches. He'd sold the truck, moved to a trailer on the outskirts, wrenching freelance. Quit hiding, Sean. Told my ma about us. She cried, then hugged me. Said Pop would have too, if he'd lived. Pauses heavy, then the gut punch. I joined the wolves young, stupid, thought it was brotherhood. But it was poison. Seeing you fight for Joe woke me up. I betrayed you to save my skin. Can't undo it, but I can own it. Sean stopped, wind whipping, staring at the drop where summer nights had blurred into passion. Own it? You held him, Alex, while they carved slurs into his door. Alex winced, nodding. Deserve that, every day. But I love you still. Not the easy kind, the kind that breaks you open. Silence stretched, taut as wire, until Sean exhaled, shoulders slumping. Love's not a debt. It's a choice. He turned, walking away, but Alex's plea followed. One chance. Coffee. Neutral ground. Sean didn't answer, but the seed planted, stubborn as Midwest weeds. Christmas Eve brought the storm literal, winds howling off Lake Michigan, power flickering. Sean hunkered at Joe's, stringing lights on a scraggly pine, radio crooning Bing Crosby. Knock at 9 p.m. Alex, snow-dusted, bearing pie from the diner and eyes like open wounds. Ma made it, said invite the hero. Joe, from his armchair, waved him in with a grunt. Boys got stones showing up. Sit. Awkward feast. Pie crumbling, stories traded. Joe's foxhole yarns met Alex's garage legends. Common ground in grease and grit. Sean watched, heart a battlefield, as laughter bridged the chasm, tentative but real. Midnight mass tolled distant bells when Joe pulled Sean aside, flask in hand. He's trying, son. Tommy tried too. After the war, wanted to run to Frisco, live open. I chickened. Don't make my mistake. Sean swallowed, the dog tags heavy undershirt. Back in the living room, Alex stood to leave, but Sean caught his sleeve. Stay. Storm's bad. The couch became their bed, bodies chased separated by pillows, but proximity electric. Whispers in dark about futures untethered. New Year's dawned crisp. Resolutions whispered over black coffee. Sean filed the feature, Shadows going national, New York Times reprint, podcast invites. Joe fielded calls from D.C., vet groups offering honors long denied. But the real climax brewed in shadows. A letter arrived, anonymous, postmarked Rockford. Razor's scrawl. You think you're heroes? Wolves rise from ashes. Watch your backs. Paranoia prickled, but Sean burned it, refusing fear's foothold. February thawed tentative, and with it, Sean and Alex rebuilt. Coffee evolving to dinners at the diner, hands brushing under Formica. Kisses came slow in the pickup's cab, testing waters. I'm all in, Alex vowed one night, stars witnesses. No more hiding. Sean believed, cautiously, because love in America was a gamble, high stakes, loaded dice. But Joe's nod from the porch swing sealed it. Looks good on you, boy. Real good. Yet drama simmered. A wolf's remnant, Razor's cousin, twitchy kid named Spike, started tailing Sean. Graffiti blooming on the Gazette. Queer enablers out. Alex confronted him at the bar. Fists clenched but voice level. We're done with that life. Walk away. Spike sneered, but backed off, the turning point a public stand. Sean covered it, piece titled From Ashes to Allies. Alex's quote raw. I was the bully. Now I'm the bridge. Spring bloomed defiant. Dogwoods pink against blue skies. Joe, frielier but fierce, planned a road trip, California, to scatter Tommy's ashes at last. A ceremony 60 years delayed. You two come, he insisted. Sean and Alex packed the Civic, Route 66 unspooling like fate's ribbon. Conflicts crested in motels. Arguments over trust, tears and neon glow, but makeup's deeper. Bonds forged in fires after heat. At the Pacific, waves crashing like applause. Joe knelt, tags in hand, whispering to Surf. We made it, love, finally. Sean held Alex's hand, tears salt-mingled. The shocking calls echo now a symphony of survival. Back in Willow Creek, summer hummed heat shimmer promises. The writers scattered myths, town lore. Joe got his parade, ticker tape on Maine, queers and straights cheering. Sean proposed to Alex under the flagpole, ring simple silver, knee bent in dust. Fight with me. Alex, grinning wolfish, pulled him up. Every damn day. In the end, it wasn't happily ever after, no fairy tale bow. Joe passed that fall, peaceful in sleep, photo of Tommy on his chest. But his legacy? A town cracked open, love's unearthed. Sean's byline etching truths into history. Betrayal scarred, but forgiveness healed. Conflict birthed growth. In America's heartland, where corn whispered secrets to wind, Sean found his shocking call. Not Joe's, but his own. To love loud, live unbowed. A veteran of the heart's endless war. Autumn leaves carpeted Elm Street in fire gold drifts. The ranch house quieter now without Joe's rocking chair cadence, but alive with echoes. His laugh in the walls, flask toasting from beyond. Sean and Alex moved in that October, boxes stacked like fortifications, merging lives tentative as new roots. The wedding was small, courthouse steps, Rita officiating with tears, kids scattering petals like confetti grenades. Vows exchanged under Midwest sun. In shadows and storms, I choose you. Alex's kiss sealed it, fierce and final, Willow Creek's gaze shifting from suspicion to shrug. Progress, inch by grudging inch. But humanity's arc bent slow, and old wolves howled faint. Whispers circled. Spike, Razor's shadow skulking garages, muttering revenge. Sean caught glimpses. A tail on the highway, a hang-up call with breathing ragged. Alex bulked up security, installing cams, but tension coiled. A spring wound tight. It's nothing, he'd say, echoing old deflections, but Sean saw the flinch. The ghost of betrayal haunting them both. Nights, they'd make love urgent, bodies mapping forgiveness. But dawn brought doubts, fingers tracing scars like Braille apologies. The Gazette thrived, Sean's columns evolving. From vet spotlights to queer Midwest voices, interviews with farmers' sons and diner queens spilling closets cracked ajar. One piece, Echoes of the Call, revisited Joe's recording, now archived at the Smithsonian, Oral History Gold. Fan mail surged. A teen from Peoria. Your story saved me. A vet from Nam, enclosing his own Tommy letter. Sean read them to Alex over dinner, voice steady, but eyes shining. We're changing shit, babe. Alex squeezed his hand, calluses grounding. You are. I'm just along for the ride. Yet the ride hit potholes. Thanksgiving redux. Rita's brewed louder, husband thawed to backslaps. But news dropped like a turkey baster. Rita's cancer scan. Stage 2. Chicago's chill grip tightening. Sean drove her to treatments, Alex tagging shotgun with bad jokes. The three of them a makeshift family forging steel in chemo weights. Dad'd be proud, Rita murmured once. Bald head wrapped in scarf, Joe's flask passed discreet. Of all us queers holding the line. Laughter bubbled, cathartic, but grief's undercurrent pulled. Losses layering like sedimentary rock. Winter gripped hard, blizzards burying roads, isolating Willow Creek in white hush. Sean's ribs ached phantom in cold, a reminder to pace himself, but deadlines didn't hibernate. A tip led to a bombshell. Spike, funneling Wolves' remnants into a neo-gang, recruiting disgruntled locals with America First bile. Sean dug, undercover at a rally, beer tents and flags, speeches venomous. There, face shadowed by torches, was Alex's estranged brother, Kyle. Black sheep returned, preaching purity with inherited green eyes. Confrontation brewed. Sean cornered him post-rant. Recorder live. Family to monsters? Really? Kyle sneered, spitting. Better than faggots ruining bloodlines. Tell Alex. Blood's thicker. The leak hit pre-Christmas. Gazette expose. Wolves' new pack. Naming names. Kyle's face grainy front page. Backlash roared. Threats scrawled on doors. Tires slashed. Not theirs, thank God. But solidarity swelled. Town hall packed. Mayor fumbling apologies. A queer alliance born from Joe's ashes. Alex faced Kyle at the farmstead. Fists unclenched. Words weapons. Your poison, bro, walk away, or lose us all. Kyle swung wild, betrayal's echo. But Alex sidestepped, cops hauling him off. In the aftermath, Alex broke, sobbing in Sean's arms. Thought I escaped it. But family's the original gang. Sean held him, rocking like Joe once did. We choose our pack now. Us against the wind. Spring unfurled tentative. Rita's remission a miracle whispered. Kids blooming wild. Sean and Alex adopted a rescue mutt. Scruffy terrier named Tommy. Fittingly fierce. Nights patrolled by paws and promises. Romance deepened, not fireworks but hearth glow. Lazy Sundays wrenching on the Civic. Alex's hands oil-smeared on Sean's skin. Bonfires where Sean read drafts, Alex's critiques laced with kisses. Lang man in the mundane, American as apple pie with a rainbow twist. But climax crested Memorial Day, parade marching ghosts. Joe honored posthumous. Float with his photo, purple heart gleaming, Sean's narration booming. He called once, shocking us silent. Not with weakness, but truth. Crowd hushed. Then erupted, vets saluting, kids waving flags unironically. Post-ceremony, Spike crashed the reception, barbecue at Elm, uninvited venom. This ain't over, lovers. He lunged, bottle raised, but Alex stepped front, calm as crucifixion. It is, for you. Brawl brief. Sean tackling, Alex pinning, bystanders piling on. Spike cuffed, Wolves' last gasp wheezing out. Summer solstice brought healing's harvest. Sean published the book, Shocking Silence, A Veteran's Queer Legacy. Bestseller in niche circles, proceeds to vet support. Rita visited, hale and hearty, toasting with flask. To calls that change everything. Alex proposed expansion, baby talk, surrogacy dreams. Sean tearful yes, future a canvas blank and bold. Yet the story's heart pulsed human, flawed. Arguments flared over Kyle's prison letters, Alex tempted by blood's pull. Sean's columns drew trolls, doubt nipping heels. But they navigated, therapists and talks. Love's labor not myth but muscle, built daily. By fall's turn, 2 years post-call, Sean stood porchside, Tommy at feet, Alex grilling steaks, Rita's laugh drifting from kitchen. The shocking phone? Framed transcript on mantle, words worn from readings. Endurance, not erasure. Betrayal, scar tissue, stronger. Conflict, catalyst. In Willow Creek's embrace, flawed, fierce Sean knew. Happy wasn't ending, but beginning. A veteran's echo, their own call answered. Live loud, love deep, speechless no more.